Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to the editor guide grind. We did particles last time. Now it's time to move on to the items, which is a pretty interesting section. It's not very long, and then we have the edit group section, which I'm going to start working through in this video. Thank you, Viprin and AutoNick, for making the editor guide that we're going to be using in this video. You can find it just by searching it on Google or just going into the button over here. Yeah, we made this big particle thing last time. Anyway, so we are going to be going into the item tab. There's a whole bunch of these. There's like keys, and then you go like mushrooms, bones, love hearts, messages, skulls, lightning bolts, pretty much anything you can think of. There's a sprite for it just to get picked up. There's even numbers. You see those in the official level dash. And we have like a little save file at the end, which is cool. I like that one. User coins are first. You can see them right there. You can use edit special to edit their default rotating animation. So let's grab this thing. We're going to put it down right here. You can see that they rotate in the editor. They've got like a nice little animation. But you can go into edit special and you can change all the animation settings. We looked at these in the last episode. So you can use the speed of like 0.25 and make them much slower in their rotation. I don't know why you would do that, but it would be cool to maybe speed it up, put it 2 times so it goes quicker. I don't know if you can speed it up past that. You can. You can also animate on the trigger. So you can go single frame like 1 and then press this. So it stays completely stationary until you get close to it. So say if I give it a group number 1, I get the animation trigger. I put group 1 in and I put the animation ID on. Boom. There you go. It just animates and does like a little flip and then it disappears. I think that's cool. You know, it's just a coin. That's pretty much it. The rest of the stuff is more interesting because if you place down a key, for example, there's a little hitbox you can see and you can edit the special. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here, which we're going to get into. Item IDs are variables that can be edited and referenced throughout the level, which is pretty important. It's kind of like a group ID, but for items, so it's kind of separate. So here's the key menu. If I go pick up item, give this ID number 1, and then I place another item, like a skull, and I go into edit special, pick up item, and I press the plus, it will automatically increase to number 2 because I've already used 1. By enabling the sub count option, it will be decreased by 1 instead. Okay, that's just this button to the right. Use toggle trigger if you want the collectible to behave like a toggle or spawn trigger. So let's put this potion down. If I go into edit special and I go toggle trigger and put group number 1, and we put a little spike or a set of spikes right here, and we put these on group number 1. When we get the potion, the spikes will disappear and we can proceed through the level. Alternatively, we can make these group 1 and make this activate number 1 by enabling the group. Now, when I play, the spikes are here, so we would need a toggle trigger. I'm pretty sure there's tutorials later on, but just for now, let's just say that 1 doesn't exist with a toggle trigger, and boom. If you get the potion, the spikes enable, and you die. So it's a pretty nice little feature that you can just use items to act as collectibles. Alternatively, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but let's just make a pulse trigger. You can use any object, just make sure it's spawn triggered, and just do like a little flash, for example, just to white. If I give this a group ID number 1 and have it as spawn triggered right here, if I grab a collectible, for example, this love heart, which activates group number 1, this trigger will not actually happen as I go past it, but it will happen when I get this item because 1 is being enabled, which is the group that's given to this trigger. Boom, the background flashes white. So you can do all sorts of things with these collectibles. The particle option allows you to spawn particles when the custom collectibles are collected. Particles cannot have an infinite duration for this to work. It's a good thing we looked at particles and animated objects last time. Okay, so I know what all of this means now. We can go in here. We have to take this off an infinite duration. Let's just put it 1.0. These will just last for 1 second and then have to just completely die out. Okay, animate on trigger. You see how these particles just don't exist unless I'm actually selecting them? That's because I've toggled them earlier on. So then I get this potion which activates group number 2, which is on these. So it's kind of similar to a toggle, I guess. Maybe this isn't what I'm thinking of then. If it's a I guess it's not. It's different. It is different because I'm not just toggling on group 2. I'm using the particle feature. There we go. If I just vary this by 180, we can have like a bursting particle effect that only happens when we get this potion. That's cool. Think I did that right. I don't actually know. You can assign points to collectibles. They count as a single variable and are used for the level leaderboards and platformer. Okay, so I'm just making a test here. We go edit special. We go points 10. We're going to put a bunch of coins right here just by copy pasting. And we're going to just take a few of them and just complete the level just by running into that end trigger that I placed. Untutorialized, but I'm just going to do it for the example. Right here, we go into points. We have minus 2,026. Now, if we get all of the coins right now, we should get more points this time. Let's just have a look here. Level complete. we go into here. We had less points because we took longer. Dude, come on. Don't be silly. I guess I have to give these like thousands of points to matter. I don't know. Here we go. We should have a bunch of points now. Yep. 6,988 as opposed to minus 1,800. Something like that. We didn't get any points. We didn't even qualify. We got to test this out a little bit more. The points thing is cool. We got less points that time. Cool. No time penalty. In platformer, you automatically lose 1,000 points a second. Yeah, exactly. So you can just turn that off or on. Cool. All right. Here we go, guys. Edit group is one of the most important buttons in the game. It's on the right side of the editor, and you can change attributes of your objects through various different options. Functionality. Here we go. Block number 1 on editor layer number 1. Then we have block number 2 on editor layer number 2. Block number 3 on editor layer 3. But if I set all of these to 4 in the edit group tab, we can go on to 0. None of them will show. Then there's 1, then there's 2, then there's 3, and then all of them show on 4. So you can add like different layers. And you can't select through layers. You see what I mean? The Z layer, seen at the bottom, this is used as the drawing order of objects. So it's basically priority. What's at the front of the screen? What's at the back? So here's my example. I have a black square right here. If I copy paste this and just move it up a tiny little bit to the right, this object is going to be on the same Z layer and Z order, which is T1 and 2, as the second object, T1 and 2, which can lead to inconsistencies because these are basically fighting to be seen right now. What I can do is place this object behind by decreasing the Z order. There you go. So it's on a different order to the one in front because it's got a higher Z order on the same Z layer. Now, what I could do is increase this to T2. Although the Z order is lower, the actual layer is higher. So these Z layers are basically bands of a bunch of different Z orders. Let me show you what I mean. So if I copy paste this a little bit, decreasing the Z order as I go up, just like so. And then I take this entire set and I move it to the right. You can see these objects are still layered just like that. But if I move it to T2, they're all going to be above. And if I move it to B1, they're all going to be below. So you can kind of copy paste objects and do things with the different categories of Z layer and Z order. ORD and CH are involved with the channel system. There's a channel system explanation later on in the guide, and we're going in like a chronological, nice little order. You can copy paste settings using the copy and paste buttons. It's kind of obvious. Okay, so here's my block. We're going to give that group number 1, and then we're going to try and give it as many group IDs as possible just by pressing next free, which goes for the entire level. Just looks to see if there are any groups that are free, like the next available one, basically, just so you can make things as efficient as possible. I cannot add 11 to this block. However, if I have another block next to it, and I remove all of these, and I start going up towards 20, you can display like 20 groups in the box if you select multiple, and they kind of just shrink like this. And this is to help with like big selections so you can see what groups are used. Numbers that both of the objects don't have, they are in blue, and let me just show you. So if I take off a couple of these groups, like 13, 19, and I give this 2 and 5, if I select them, both of these objects have 2 and 5, so they're in gray. But not all of them have the other numbers, which are in different colors. So it's added in gray. To remove it, you just click on it. It's a funny highlighting. Wait, this is an actual thing. Hold on. I need to read this. I thought it was just showing you how to remove it. To remove a group ID, simply click the one that you wanted to remove. If you have a single object selected, a new P button appears next to add. This will mark the parent. Oh, group parent ID. Okay, I think I figured this out. I'm just making like a little model. I apologize if this is a little bit too advanced and too far ahead, but I'm trying to just show an example here. So I have an area move trigger, which is targeting group 1, and it's only around the player. Then I have a group number 2, which is also around the player with the exact same settings. So these objects are going to be group number 2. These ones are group number 1. But for 1, this is the group parent right here. It's in pink. Or any like action that is taken on this block will also happen to the rest of them, no matter what. So for this area move effect, what's happening is that within 2 blocks of me, this block is going to move. Now, typically, these ones wouldn't also move, but because these are affected by this group parent, if I get close enough, that's going to move both of them. I'm trying to do this without dying. So if I get close to this block, those ones are going to move, and that's because this is the group parent. This is where everything that ever happens to this entire group is going to be focused on. So when I get close to this block, the other one isn't going to move until I get close to it. but because this is the group parent and everything is focused on this block instead of where it would typically be over here, that's when they move. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's not too useful as far as I can tell. Sorry for the big giant rotating thing up here. I'm gonna move that out the way. I want to keep it though because it's epic. It doesn't seem too useful, not gonna lie. I could do the same thing if I put a group parent like all the way over here with 2 and made this pink like this. I'm gonna have to move it closer to the block, but you'll see that everything that ever happens will activate around this block instead of how it would normally work right here. You see? It's weird. I don't know. It's a very strange system. That took me a while to get my head around, not gonna lie. I couldn't find an example of how to use the group ID without like going too far ahead. So that probably was too complex and now my brain's fried. Thank you so much for watching this editor guide grind video. Shout out to Viprin and AutoNick for making the guide. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day.